The betrayal. A perfect life shattered. The morning started like any other beautiful day in my life. I stood in the grand ballroom of the Riverside Hotel, checking every detail for tomorrow's wedding. Fresh roses filled the air with their sweet smell. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above my head. Everything was perfect, just like I always made it. My name is Maya Rodriguez, and I own Forever Moments, the most successful wedding planning company in the city. At 35, I had built this business from nothing. No rich family, no fancy connections, just hard work, creativity, and a heart that believed in love. And I believed in my own love story too. For 5 years, I had been with James Mitchell. Handsome, charming James with his bright smile and big dreams. He was a real estate developer, and everyone said we were the perfect couple. The wedding planner and the man who built dream homes. Maya, you're here early, said my assistant Victoria, walking into the ballroom. She was young, only 24, with long dark hair and ambitious eyes. I had hired her 6 months ago because she reminded me of myself when I was starting out. Eager, hardworking, hungry for success. The Johnson wedding is tomorrow, I replied, adjusting a centerpiece. Everything must be absolutely perfect. It always is when you plan it, Victoria said with a smile. That's why you're the best. I smiled back, not knowing those would be some of the last kind words she would ever say to me. The discovery. That evening, I drove to the Lakeside Manor, another venue where I had a consultation scheduled. The client had canceled at the last minute, but I decided to check the space anyway. I was always thinking about future events, future possibilities. The parking lot was nearly empty. Only 2 cars sat in the corner, hidden partially by trees. One of them looked familiar. Very familiar. It was James's black Mercedes, the one I had helped him choose last year. My heart started beating faster. Why would James be here? He never came to my work venues. He always said weddings were my thing and business deals were his thing. I walked quietly toward the building. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the lights were dim, but I could hear voices coming from the main ballroom. Laughing. Soft music playing. I pushed open the ballroom door, and there they were, James and Victoria, dancing slowly in the empty room, his arms around her waist, her head on his shoulder, moving together like they had done this 1,000 times before. Time stopped. My breath caught in my throat. The room spun around me. Maya. Victoria jumped back, her face turning white. James turned slowly, and I will never forget the look on his face. Not guilt, not shame, just annoyance, like I had interrupted something inconvenient. The cruel truth. How long? My voice came out as a whisper. Maya, let me explain. Victoria started, but James held up his hand. Don't, he said to her. Then he looked at me. For months. While I was planning other people's perfect weddings, my own perfect relationship was dying. No, not dying. Already dead. Buried. Forgotten. Why? I asked, even though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. James sighed, like I was asking him to explain something obvious. Because Victoria understands what I need, Maya. She's young, connected, and she doesn't make me feel like I'm constantly being managed. Managed? The word felt like a slap. Yes, managed. Everything with you is organized, planned, controlled. Our dinners, our vacations, our future. You even had our wedding planned in your head, didn't you? I'm a wedding planner. I shouted. That's what I do. And that's exactly the problem, James said coldly. I don't want to be another one of your projects, Maya. I want passion, spontaneity. Victoria gives me that. I looked at Victoria, this girl I had mentored, trained, trusted with my business and my clients. I'm sorry, she whispered, but her hand reached for James's hand. She was sorry, but not sorry enough to let him go. The breaking point. I should have walked away right then. I should have kept my dignity and left. But I was frozen, trying to understand how my life had collapsed in just 5 minutes. There's something else, James said. Victoria and I are getting engaged. The words hit me like a truck. Engaged. The word I had been hoping to hear from him for years. And we want you to plan our wedding, he continued. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. It was either laugh or scream. You cannot be serious. I'm completely serious, James said. You're the best wedding planner in the city. Everyone knows that. And we want the best. Besides, it will show everyone that there are no hard feelings. That we're all adults here. No hard feelings? I repeated slowly. You cheated on me with my employee. You betrayed me. And you want me to plan your wedding? Think about it, Maya, James said. And now his voice had that business tone he used when closing deals. This will be the society wedding of the year. My family has money. Victoria's brother is Alexander Chun, one of the richest tech investors in the country. Everyone who matters will be there. The publicity for your business would be incredible. He was right about one thing. It would be the wedding of the year. Everyone would be watching, talking, judging. I'll pay triple your usual fee, James added. Consider it compensation for everything. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw him clearly for the first time. He wasn't the man I thought I loved. He was a stranger who thought everything and everyone could be bought, used, controlled. I'll do it, I said quietly. Both of them looked surprised. Really? Victoria asked hopefully. Really, I confirmed. I'll plan your perfect wedding. Every single detail. It will be a day no one will ever forget. James smiled, satisfied. He thought he had won. He thought he could have everything. Victoria, his pride, and me still serving his needs like I always had. But what James didn't know was that I wasn't the same Maya who had walked into that ballroom 5 minutes ago. That Maya was gone. The new Maya was someone different. Someone stronger. Someone who understood that sometimes the best revenge isn't walking away. Sometimes it's staying and playing the game better than anyone else. The mysterious client. 2 days later, I sat in my office, going through wedding portfolios with James and Victoria. I smiled. I took notes. I acted professional. Inside, my mind was working like a machine, planning something much bigger than a wedding. My phone rang. My secretary's voice came through the speaker. Ms. Rodriguez, there's a Mr. Chin on the line for you. He says it's urgent business. Victoria's face went pale. That's my brother, she whispered to James. Tell him I'll call him back, I said calmly. He says he's calling about a major business opportunity. Something about a corporate event series. He specifically requested you. James and Victoria exchanged looks. They knew who Alexander Chun was. Everyone in the city knew. He had built a tech company from his college dorm room and sold it for $200 million before he was 30. Now he invested in everything from real estate to restaurants to hotels. Take the call, James said quickly. Victoria and I can wait. I smiled sweetly. Are you sure? We were just discussing your flower arrangements. Business first, James insisted. We understand. I picked up the phone. Mr. Chun, this is Maya Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez, a deep, confident voice said on the other end. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. Not at all, I said, watching James and Victoria trying to look casual while obviously listening to every word. How can I help you? I'm planning a series of corporate events over the next 6 months. Product launches, charity galas, investor dinners. I've heard your work is exceptional. I'd like to meet with you to discuss a partnership. My heart raced, but I kept my voice steady. I would be honored to discuss this with you, Mr. Chun. When would be convenient? Tomorrow, 2 p.m., my office downtown. And Ms. Rodriguez. He paused. I should mention that my sister Victoria works for you. She's spoken very highly of your business. Though I understand she's recently given her notice. I looked directly at Victoria, whose face had gone completely white. She hasn't mentioned anything about leaving, I said slowly. But if she plans to, I wish her all the best in her future endeavors. James was staring at Victoria with confusion and anger. Clearly, this was news to him too. Excellent, Alexander Chin said. I look forward to meeting you tomorrow, Ms. Rodriguez. I think we'll have a lot to discuss. About business and perhaps other matters as well. He hung up. The room was silent. You were planning to quit? James asked Victoria. I was going to tell you. She stammered. But I wasn't listening to their argument anymore. My mind was already racing ahead. Alexander Chin wanted to meet with me. Victoria's brother. The billionaire investor. The man who could change everything. Or maybe destroy everything. Tomorrow, I would find out which one. The decision. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, looking at old photos of James and me. Laughing at a beach. Dancing at a friend's wedding. Celebrating my business anniversary. All lies. Or maybe not lies, but something worse. Half-truths. Moments that meant everything to me and nothing to him. I thought about canceling the wedding planning. Walking away. Starting fresh. But then I thought about James's face when he told me there were no hard feelings. I thought about Victoria's hand reaching for his. I thought about how they expected me to just accept this. To be professional. To make their betrayal beautiful and perfect. And I thought about Alexander Chen's words. Other matters to discuss. He knew something. I was sure of it. The question was what, and how I could use it. I opened my laptop and started researching. Alexander Chen, Victoria's brother, his investments, his business partners, his properties. And there it was, on page 3 of my search results. A business deal from 6 months ago. Alexander Chen had invested in a real estate development project. The project manager was listed as James Mitchell. 6 months ago, right when James would have met Victoria, right when this all started. This wasn't just about a cheating boyfriend and a disloyal employee. This was bigger, much bigger. I smiled slowly in the darkness of my apartment. James thought he was playing me, using me, controlling the narrative of our breakup. But he had no idea that the game had just begun. And this time, I would be the one writing the ending. Tomorrow, I would meet Alexander Chen. I would learn the truth. And I would start building something that James Mitchell would never see coming. Because the best revenge isn't just about making someone pay. It's about making them realize they never really won at all. The wedding of the year was going to be absolutely perfect. Just not in the way James and Victoria imagined. I closed my laptop and went to bed, sleeping better than I had in weeks. The old Maya was gone. The new Maya was just getting started. Meeting Alexander Chen. The Chen Industries building stood 40 floors high in the heart of downtown. All glass and steel, reflecting the sky like a mirror. I walked through the lobby wearing my best business suit, navy blue with silver buttons. Professional, confident, ready. The elevator took me to the top floor. The doors opened to a reception area that screamed success. Modern art on the walls. Fresh orchids on every surface. A view of the entire city through floor-to-ceiling windows. Ms. Rodriguez. The receptionist smiled warmly. Mr. Chen is expecting you. Please follow me. She led me down a hallway to a corner office. The door was already open. Alexander Chen stood with his back to me, looking out at the city. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, with dark hair and broad shoulders. When he turned around, I was struck by how different he looked from Victoria. Where she was soft and young, he was sharp and controlled. His eyes were intelligent, calculating, but not cold. Ms. Rodriguez, he said, extending his hand. Thank you for coming. His handshake was firm, professional. His eyes met mine directly, and I felt like he could see right through me. Please, call me Maya, I said. Maya, and you can call me Alex. He gestured to a sitting area by the windows. Can I offer you something to drink? Coffee, tea, water is fine, thank you. We sat down, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. I waited. This was his meeting, his invitation. I suppose we should talk about the corporate events first, Alex said finally. Though I suspect you know that's not the only reason I called you here. I had a feeling, I admitted. He smiled slightly. Direct. I appreciate that. He leaned forward, his expression becoming serious. Let me be completely honest with you, Maya. Victoria is my younger sister. My only sister. I've protected her since our parents died 10 years ago. I would do anything for her. My heart sank. He was here to defend Victoria, to make sure I didn't hurt her business reputation or something. But, Alex continued, I also believe in honesty and integrity. And what Victoria did to you was wrong. I looked up in surprise. She called me last night, he explained, crying, confessing everything. She told me about you, about James, about the affair. She's scared I'm going to be disappointed in her. Which I am. Then why did you call me? I asked. Because Victoria isn't the only one involved in this situation. And she's not the only one being used. The truth about James. Alex stood up and walked to his desk. He pulled out a thick folder and handed it to me. 6 months ago, James Mitchell came to me with a real estate development proposal. A luxury apartment complex on the waterfront. The numbers looked good. The location was perfect. I invested $5 million as the primary stakeholder. I opened the folder. Inside were contracts, financial statements, and construction plans. At the time, James told me he was single, Alex continued. He said he was focused entirely on his career. He was charming, professional, and his credentials checked out. 2 weeks later, he started dating my sister. He planned it. I said slowly, understanding dawning. Yes. He needed my money and saw Victoria as a way to secure our business relationship. What he didn't know is that I always do thorough background checks on my business partners, especially after I've already invested money. Alex pulled out another folder. This one was even thicker. 3 weeks ago, I received a report from my private investigator. James Mitchell has been embezzling money from our development project. About $800,000 so far. He's been creating fake construction expenses, paying dummy companies he controls, and pocketing the difference. I felt sick. Does Victoria know? Not yet. I didn't want to tell her until I had all the evidence. But now, with this engagement, he shook his head. She's going to marry a criminal. Why haven't you gone to the police? Because I'm not just interested in getting my money back, Alex said quietly. I want to make sure James Mitchell can never do this to anyone else again. And I want to make sure my sister sees exactly who she's dealing with before she makes the biggest mistake of her life. He sat down across from me again, his eyes intense. That's where you come in, Maya. The partnership. Me? I asked. What can I do? James asked you to plan his wedding, correct? Yes. And you agreed. I did. Why? Alex asked directly. Why would you agree to plan the wedding of the man who betrayed you? I met his eyes. Because I was angry. Because I wanted to stay close enough to watch him suffer. Because I paused. Because I wanted some kind of revenge, even if I didn't know what it would look like yet. Alex nodded slowly. That's honest. I respect that. He leaned back in his chair. I have a proposal for you, Maya. A business proposal and a personal one. I'm listening. The business proposal is real. I do need an event planner for a series of corporate functions over the next 6 months. Product launches, investor meetings, charity galas. If you do well, it could lead to a long-term contract. Your company would handle all Chin Industries events. That's worth about $2 million a year. My breath caught. $2 million a year. That would transform my business completely. And the personal proposal? I asked. Help me take down James Mitchell. Use your position as his wedding planner to gather evidence. Find out where he's hiding the money, who else he's working with, what other schemes he's running. And when we have everything we need, we expose him publicly. At his own wedding. I struggled to find the words. That's intense. Yes, Alex agreed. It is. But consider this, Maya. If we just go to the police now, James will get a good lawyer. He'll claim it was an accounting error. He'll pay back some of the money and get a slap on the wrist. He'll still have his reputation, his business connections, and Victoria will still defend him. She'll think I'm the bad guy trying to break them up. But if we expose him publicly, then everyone sees the truth at once. His clients, his investors, his family, Victoria. There's no spinning it. No expensive lawyers can save his reputation. And Victoria will see clearly who she was about to marry. I thought about it carefully. What Alex was proposing wasn't just revenge. It was justice. It was protecting Victoria and every other person James might hurt in the future. What exactly would you need from me? I asked. The plan takes shape. Over the next 2 hours, Alex and I discussed every detail. He had already gathered significant evidence of James's fraud. Bank records showing unusual transfers. Emails with dummy companies. Construction reports that didn't match actual progress. My job would be to get closer to James during the wedding planning. To access his home office, his computer, his phone. To find the final pieces of evidence that would make the case undeniable. James trusts you in a strange way, Alex explained. He thinks he's won. He thinks you're weak and professional enough to just accept this situation. He won't guard himself around you. And what about Victoria? I asked. She's going to be with him constantly. Victoria is the wild card, Alex admitted. I think part of her already suspects something is wrong with James. She's my sister. She's smart. But she's also young and convinced herself she's in love. We need to wake her up gently, or she'll defend him out of pride. What if this doesn't work? I asked. What if we can't find enough evidence? Alex looked at me seriously. Then we go to the police with what we have and hope for the best. But I think we can do better. I think we can make sure James Mitchell gets exactly what he deserves. I stood up and walked to the window. Below, the city spread out in every direction. Thousands of people living their lives. Working, loving, building their dreams. James had tried to steal my dreams. He had used my love against me. And he was planning to do the same thing to Victoria, whether she realized it yet or not. I'll do it, I said, turning back to Alex. Not just for revenge, but because it's the right thing to do. Alex smiled, and for the first time, it reached his eyes. I was hoping you'd say that. He extended his hand again. Partners. I shook his hand. Partners. Getting closer to the enemy. The next day, I called James to schedule another wedding planning meeting. This time, I suggested we meet at his home office, where he kept all his important documents. I need to see the space, I explained sweetly. I want to understand your lifestyle so I can plan events that truly reflect who you are as a couple. James loved that idea. He loved talking about himself. His house was in an expensive neighborhood. Modern architecture. 3-car garage. The kind of place someone bought to impress people, not to feel at home. Victoria was there, awkward and uncomfortable around me. I smiled at her warmly, playing the role of the understanding, professional ex-girlfriend. I'm just here to do my job, I assured her. This is your day. I want it to be perfect for you. She relaxed slightly, wanting to believe I had no hard feelings. James gave me a tour, bragging about every expensive detail. The Italian marble, the custom furniture, the art collection, everything purchased with money he had stolen or would steal. In his office, I saw exactly what I was looking for. A desktop computer, filing cabinets, a safe hidden behind a painting. This was where he kept his secrets. James, I said sweetly, I'm going to need access to your calendar over the next few months. Wedding planning requires coordination with your schedule. Would it be easier if I had your passwords? For the online calendar system? He hesitated for only a second. Then his ego won. Sure, he said, writing down his email password on a piece of paper. Just don't look at my personal stuff. I laughed like it was a joke. Of course not. I'm only interested in your availability for cake tastings and venue visits. He believed me. Why wouldn't he? He thought I was harmless. A woman he had already defeated. That night, I sent all his password information to Alex. Within hours, Alex's tech team had accessed James's computer remotely. They found spreadsheets, transaction records, emails with shell companies, evidence that James had been running fraudulent schemes for years, not just with Alex's project. He's been doing this to multiple investors, Alex told me over the phone. We're talking about millions of dollars in total fraud. This is bigger than I thought. What do we do now? I asked. We keep gathering evidence. And we start planning the most memorable wedding this city has ever seen. An unexpected connection. Over the following weeks, Alex and I met regularly to discuss our progress. We would have dinner at quiet restaurants, reviewing documents and planning our next moves. But somewhere between the business conversations and the revenge plotting, something else started to happen. I found myself looking forward to our meetings for reasons that had nothing to do with James. Alex was different from any man I had ever known. He was successful like James, but without the arrogance. He was intelligent like James, but without the manipulation. When he listened to me talk, he actually heard me. When I shared an idea, he didn't dismiss it or talk over me. Your business is impressive, he said one evening over wine. You built it from nothing. No investors. No family money. Just skill and determination. Thank you, I said, surprised by how much the compliment meant coming from him. I mean it, Alex continued. Most entrepreneurs need multiple rounds of funding to get where you are. You did it alone. That takes real strength. I didn't feel very strong when James left me, I admitted. But you were, Alex said firmly. You could have fallen apart. Instead, you chose to fight back. That's strength, Maya. The way he said my name made my heart beat faster. Can I ask you something personal? I said. Of course. Why aren't you married? Or dating someone? You're successful, intelligent, attractive. I stopped, realizing what I had just said. Alex smiled. Attractive? I felt my face heat up. I meant objectively. Anyone would say that. Right? Objectively. He was definitely laughing at me now, but in a gentle way. To answer your question, I was engaged once. 5 years ago. She was brilliant, beautiful, came from a good family. On paper, we were perfect together. What happened? I realized she loved the idea of me more than the actual me. She loved the lifestyle, the status, the connections. But when I talked about my dreams or my fears or the things that actually mattered to me, her eyes would glaze over. We broke up 2 months before the wedding. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be. It was the best decision I ever made. I'd rather be alone than be with someone who doesn't actually see me. I understood exactly what he meant. James had never really seen me. He had seen a useful partner, a connection to the wedding industry, a woman who would support his ambitions without expecting anything in return. Maya, Alex said quietly, and something in his voice made me look up. I want you to know that when this is over, When James gets what he deserves, I'd like to continue our partnership. The business partnership? I asked, though I knew that wasn't what he meant. That too, he said with a small smile. But I was thinking of something more personal. If you're interested, no pressure. I know you're going through a difficult time. My heart was racing. Alexa, you don't have to answer now, he said quickly. Just think about it. After everything is finished, after you've had time to heal, I'll be here. I reached across the table and took his hand. Thank you for everything. Not just the business help or the investigation, but for seeing me, really seeing me. He squeezed my hand gently. That's easy to do. You're pretty hard to miss. Victoria's doubts. 2 months before the wedding, something changed. Victoria started missing our planning meetings. When she did show up, she seemed distracted, worried. One afternoon, she came to my office alone. James was at a construction site, or so he said. Maya, she said quietly, can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you and James really break up? The question surprised me. He didn't tell you? He said you grew apart, that you wanted different things. But, she paused, twisting her engagement ring nervously. That doesn't sound right. You were together for 5 years. People don't just grow apart in 5 years unless something specific happened. I chose my words carefully. What does your instinct tell you, Victoria? My instinct says James is hiding something. Maybe lots of things. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. He's been acting strange lately. Secretive. He's on his phone constantly, but he always leaves the room to take calls. He says it's business, but you don't believe him, I finished. I want to believe him, she said desperately. I love him, Maya. Or I think I do. But lately, I feel like I don't actually know him at all. Like he's been playing a role this whole time, and now the mask is slipping. This was the moment. I could tell her everything. Show her the evidence Alex and I had gathered. But Alex was right. If we told her too soon, she might run to James and warn him. She might convince herself we were lying. Victoria, I said gently, I can't tell you what to do. But I can say this, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And you deserve someone who makes you feel secure, not suspicious. She nodded slowly. The wedding is in 2 months. Sometimes I think about calling it off. But everyone already knows. The invitations are sent. My brother invested so much money in James's business. How can I back out now? You can back out any time, I said firmly. Up until the moment you say I do, you can change your mind. Don't marry someone because it's easier than admitting you made a mistake. She left my office looking more confused than ever. But the seeds of doubt were planted. Alex called me that night. James is getting nervous. He's moving money around, trying to cover his tracks. I think he knows someone is investigating him. What do? We move faster. The wedding is in 2 months. We need to have everything ready by then. All the evidence organized. All our witnesses prepared. And we need to make sure Victoria is ready to hear the truth. She came to see me today, I told him. She's starting to doubt James on her own. Good. That means when the truth comes out, she'll be ready to accept it. She won't fight us as hard. I thought about Victoria's face. Young, scared, in love with a lie. Alex, I said softly, I know why we're doing this. I know James deserves everything coming to him. But I feel bad for Victoria. She's going to be humiliated. She's also going to be saved, Alex replied. Better to be humiliated at a wedding than married to a criminal. Better to learn the truth now than 10 years and 2 kids from now. We're doing her a favor, even if she doesn't see it yet. He was right. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about protecting people from James's lies. It was about justice. 2 months, I said. 2 months, Alex agreed. And then James Mitchell's perfect life comes crashing down. I hung up the phone and looked at the wedding planning binder on my desk. Every detail had been arranged. The flowers, the music, the venue, the food. It was going to be absolutely beautiful. The perfect setting for the perfect revenge. The wedding day arrives. The morning sun rose over the Grandview estate, painting everything in gold. The venue was spectacular, exactly as I had designed it. White roses everywhere. Crystal decorations catching the light. A string quartet warming up near the garden where the ceremony would take place. It was perfect, and it was about to become unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. I arrived at 6 in the morning, supervising every last detail. My team moved efficiently, adjusting centerpieces, testing microphones, arranging seating cards. To everyone else, This was just another high-end wedding. Only I knew it would be so much more. Alex texted me at 7. Everything is ready on my end. The lawyers are standing by. The evidence is compiled. Are you sure you want to do this? I typed back. More sure than I've ever been about anything. Victoria arrived at 9 for hair and makeup. She looked beautiful in her white robe, but her eyes were tired, worried. She had been having doubts for weeks now, but she kept pushing forward, afraid to disappoint everyone. Maya, she said quietly as the makeup artist worked on her face, thank you for doing this. I know it must be weird for you, planning James's wedding after everything. It's been educational, I said carefully. Can I tell you something? She glanced at the makeup artist and the other bridesmaids, making sure no one was listening. Last night, I almost called it off. I was standing in my apartment, holding my phone, ready to tell James the first couldn't do this. What stopped you? I asked. Fear, I guess. Fear of looking stupid. Fear of disappointing my brother, who invested so much money in James's business. Fear of admitting I made a mistake. She laughed bitterly. Stupid reasons to get married, right? Victoria, I said gently, it's not too late. You can still. No, she interrupted. I've come this far. Everyone is here. The food is prepared. The flowers are arranged. I can't back out now. I'll figure it out after. Maybe once we're married, things will get better. I wanted to tell her that things were definitely not going to get better, that in a few hours, her entire world would explode. But I stayed silent. She would understand soon enough. The ceremony begins. At 2 o'clock, the guests started arriving. 300 people, all dressed in their finest clothes. James's family, wealthy and prestigious. Victoria's relatives, most of them successful business people. Investors, clients, society figures. Everyone who mattered in the city was here, and they were all about to witness the most dramatic wedding in the city's history. Alex arrived alone, looking sharp in his dark suit. As Victoria's brother and the primary investor in James's business, he had a seat in the front row. He caught my eye and nodded slightly. Everything was in place. James stood at the altar, confident and handsome in his custom tuxedo. He was smiling, completely relaxed. Why wouldn't he be? He had everything he wanted. The beautiful bride, the successful business, the admiration of 300 people. He thought he had won completely. The music began. Victoria appeared at the back of the garden, her father's arm linked with hers. She looked stunning in her wedding dress. For a moment, I felt a pang of sympathy. She was so young, so trusting, walking toward a man who had lied to her from the very beginning. The ceremony progressed normally at first. The officiant welcomed everyone. He talked about love and commitment and building a life together. James and Victoria exchanged their vows, his voice strong and clear, hers slightly trembling. Then came the ring exchange. Do you, James Mitchell, take Victoria Chun to be your lawfully wedded wife? The officiant asked. I do, James said confidently. And do you, Victoria Chun, take James Mitchell to be your lawfully wedded husband? Victoria opened her mouth to speak. And that's when Alex stood up. The truth revealed. Stop, Alex said loudly, his voice carrying across the entire garden. 300 people gasped. Victoria froze. James's face went white. Alex, what are you doing? Victoria asked, her voice shaking. I'm sorry, Victoria, Alex said, walking toward the altar. I know this is terrible timing, but I can't let you marry this man without knowing the truth. What truth? James demanded. This is insane. Security, please remove this man. I am the primary investor in your biggest business deal, Alex said calmly. I don't think you want to remove me, James. Especially since I have some very interesting information to share with everyone here. James's confidence cracked. You're trying to sabotage my wedding because you never thought I was good enough for your sister. You're right about one thing, Alex replied. You're not good enough for Victoria, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because you're a criminal. The garden exploded in whispers. Everyone was pulling out their phones, starting to record. This is ridiculous, James said, but his voice was shaking now. Alex pulled out a folder from inside his jacket. For the past 6 months, James Mitchell has been embezzling money from our joint real estate development project. $800,000 so far. He created fake construction companies, submitted false invoices, and pocketed the money. Victoria stared at James. That's not true. Tell them it's not true. James's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Furthermore, Alex continued, my investigation revealed that James has been running similar schemes with at least 4 other investors over the past 3 years. The total fraud amounts to approximately $3.2 million.